1,200 rounds per minute. That's 20 bullets every second. American machine guns, 400 rounds per minute. British, 500. Soviet, 550. The German MG42, 1,200. 3 times faster than anything the Allies had. D-Day, Omaha Beach. Just 12 of these guns stopped thousands of American soldiers for hours. 2,400 casualties in the first wave, most from machine gun fire. Allied soldiers called it Hitler's buzzsaw. German soldiers called it the bone saw. 1 gun, 2 soldiers, could hold off an entire platoon. This is the story of the deadliest machine gun of World War II. A weapon so effective that 80 years later, modern armies still use it. And why soldiers who faced it said they feared its sound more than death itself. To understand why the MG42 mattered, you need to understand World War I. 1914 to 1918, machine guns dominated the battlefield. The Maxim gun, the Vickers, defensive positions with machine guns slaughtered attacking infantry by the thousands. Germany's primary machine gun was the MG08, a water-cooled, belt-fed weapon based on the Maxim design. Rate of fire, 450 rounds per minute. Heavy, reliable, deadly. Weight, 62 pounds without the tripod. 137 pounds with mounting and water cooling system. It required a crew of 4 men to move and operate. In offensive operations, it was nearly useless, too heavy, too slow to reposition. After Germany lost World War I, the Treaty of Versailles strictly limited German military development. Machine guns were restricted. Germany couldn't mass-produce weapons. But German engineers kept designing, kept improving, kept preparing. 1930s, Hitler begins secretly rearming Germany. German engineers at Metal und Lackierware and Fabrik Johannes Grossfuss AG, Grossfuss Metalworks, receive a contract. Design a new machine gun. Specifications: light enough for 2 men to carry and operate. Fast enough to dominate any firefight. Simple enough to mass-produce cheaply. Reliable enough to function in any condition. The result, the MG42. Maschinengewehr 42. What made the MG42 revolutionary wasn't just its speed. It was the engineering. Traditional machine guns required precision machining. Expensive. Time-consuming. The MG42 used stamped sheet metal parts wherever possible. Cheaper. Faster to produce. Manufacturing time: 75 hours per gun versus 150 hours for the MG34 it replaced. Cost: 250 Reichsmarks versus 327 for the MG34. Germany could produce MG42s faster and cheaper than any other nation could produce comparable weapons. But the real innovation was the quick change barrel system. Machine guns overheat. Fire too long. The barrel glows red, warps, fails. Traditional guns required tools and time to change barrels. The MG42? A trained soldier could swap barrels in 5 seconds. No tools needed. Flip a latch. Pull the hot barrel out. Slide a cool barrel in. Lock. Resume firing. 5 seconds. This meant sustained fire rates no other machine gun could match. An MG42 team could fire continuously by rotating barrels. 1 barrel firing. 1 barrel cooling. Swap. Repeat. Rate of fire, 1,200 rounds per minute. For comparison, American M1919 Browning, 400 to 600 rounds per minute. British Bren gun, 500 rounds per minute. Soviet DP-28, 550 rounds per minute. The MG42 fired twice as fast as its competitors. But the psychological impact was even more devastating than the statistics. The rate of fire was so high that soldiers couldn't hear individual shots. It wasn't bang, bang, bang. It was one continuous roar, like fabric ripping, like a buzzsaw cutting metal. American Infantry Sergeant Paul Rogers, after Normandy. The MG42 didn't sound like a gun. It sounded like death itself. That continuous roar made you want to dig through the earth just to get away from it. German doctrine built their entire infantry tactics around the MG42. American and British infantry squads centered on the riflemen. The machine gun supported the riflemen. German squads? The opposite. The MG42 was the squad. Everything else, riflemen, ammunition carriers, spotters, existed to support the machine gun. A standard German infantry squad, 10 men. 1 squad leader. 1 MG42 gunner. one assistant gunner, 7 riflemen whose primary job was to protect the MG42 and carry ammunition. The MG42 dictated where the squad went, where they positioned, how they fought. In defense, German doctrine used MG42s in overlapping fields of fire, one gun covering another gun's blind spots. Attackers caught in a crossfire from multiple machine guns simultaneously. D-Day, Omaha Beach. American forces faced 12 German bunkers with MG42s covering the beach. Those 12 machine guns, roughly 24 German soldiers, pinned down thousands of American troops for hours. Omaha Beach casualties, approximately 2,400 Americans killed or wounded in the first few hours. German defenders, fewer than 1,000 total. Most casualties were caused by machine gun fire from defensive positions. Eastern Front. Soviet human wave attacks ran into concentrated MG42 fire. Soviet memoirs describe fields covered with bodies, hundreds killed by just a few German machine guns. Soviet Major Nikolai Krylov, 1943. The German machine gun. We called it the linoleum cutter. It cut through our lines like scissors through cloth. One gun could stop an entire company. The MG42 forced Allied infantry to develop new tactics. Suppressive fire, smoke grenades, flanking maneuvers, close air support, anything to neutralize German machine gun positions. But even when suppressed, the MG42 was dangerous. The rate of fire alone triggered immediate reactions. Soldiers dove for cover the moment they recognized the gun, even before bullets arrived. Training and discipline couldn't overcome the instinct. That gun meant death. American soldiers learned, never expose yourself when you see muzzle flash from an MG42 position. But the MG42 wasn't perfect. It had significant weaknesses. 1,200 rounds per minute sounds devastating until you calculate logistics. A 3-second burst equals 60 rounds. A 10-second burst equals 200 rounds. An MG42 could empty a 250-round belt in 12 seconds. Each 250-round belt weighed 30 pounds. A typical MG42 team carried 1,500 rounds, 5 minutes of continuous fire. After that, they needed resupply. In offensive operations, running out of ammunition was a constant problem. The high rate of fire wore barrels out quickly. A barrel could fire approximately 500 rounds before overheating required replacement. Heavy combat could burn through multiple barrels per day. German doctrine called for each MG42 to have 2 spare barrels. Late war, manufacturing couldn't keep up. Guns with worn barrels had degraded accuracy and higher malfunction rates. 1,200 rounds per minute generated tremendous recoil. Fired from the shoulder or bipod, the gun climbed badly. Accuracy beyond 100 yards in automatic fire was poor. The MG42 was most effective. Mounted on a tripod, stable platform. Fired in short, controlled bursts, 3 to 7 rounds. From defensive positions, time to aim and set up. In hasty offensive actions, less effective than its reputation suggested. 1944 to 45. Germany is losing. Factories are bombed. Resources are scarce. Late war MG42s had quality control issues. Parts didn't fit properly. Springs failed. Feed mechanisms jammed. Early war MG42s were masterpieces. Late war versions were increasingly unreliable.